Okay, this week's chapter of Fairy Tail. Again, the release dates are just hectic. It's just coming out whenever it feels like now. And I didn't realize it was out until this morning, so you can tell how bad that is. I'm just missing chapters here. But thankfully I got it. And this was heavily focused on Gajeel again, which I can't believe I didn't realize this before, because it should have been so easy to figure it out. But there's these like character mini arcs going on in this Tartarus arc. First, it's that involve characters getting power-ups, and ones that actually kind of make sense for the most part. First, there was Lucy sacrificing Aquarius to be able to summon the Spirit King. Now, technically, it's not really power-up because it seems like a more one-time thing, like an ultimate move you can only use once, really. But I'm sure she should get something out of that. I mean, it was a huge sacrifice, and for the only change to come out of that is Aquarius is gone. We're no longer going to have the whole dynamic between those two. It would seem empty. She has to gain something from that. And then with Gray's little arc of fighting his father and then gaining Ice Devil Slayer magic, that's a pretty good power-up. His father passed it on to him. And now with this one, Gajeel, he's able to absorb the carbon in this poison water and mix it with his iron, making steel. So now he's a steel Shadow Dragon Slayer. And a lot of these power-ups I actually really like, and I can't believe I didn't notice that how much better these power-ups are. Because before in Fairy Tail, most of the power-ups came from, mostly Natsu of course, just eating different flames or different elements and absorbing that. And while that was fine at most of the time that strength came more from the whole friendship thing. And while they get irritating, especially in Magic games, I'm glad it's become less prevalent in the series, especially now in these chapters. And they're trying to go a more logical route with power-ups. So Gajeel's power-up especially was great. I loved it. And I like the little subtle coloring between his iron form and his steel form. Steel form is definitely a lot more brighter and more has more sheen to it. And yeah, but this chapter mostly starts off with Levi saying like, "Oh no, Gajeel, you were just the closest one. I panicked and I just breathed in the air from my mouth." As Gajeel's just like, "Well, you just could have, used your magic to create the word air, thus making air." It's like, "Oh right, I can do that. I'll go do that right now with everyone else." I think she lied that she panicked. She saw Gajeel, and part of her wanted to give him the air from her own lips. Or maybe she really did just forget, the whole air thing, and her own magic. And so, okay, she's out there saving everyone else, but they're still absorbing water, probably through their pores and stuff like that. So the poison itself needs to be taken care of some way or somehow. Defeating Torafusa probably won't do that immediately. They have to find some way of doing it, because it'll just seem too convenient if knocking them out immediately, disintegrates all the poison in everyone's body. That'll just be too quickly resolved. But I don't really remember too much about this whole relationship that Gajeel's had with this old councilwoman. Maybe it was established in previous chapters and it's just been so long that I forgot. Even this part where she apparently gets killed by Tartarus members, I don't remember if that was in a previous chapter too. But either way, we get to see more of Gajeel, which at this point, I realize that we haven't had too much time to get to know him. I mean, yes, we spent some time with him and his interactions with the fellow guild members, but really his backstory and how he interacted with anyone at all besides people from his previous guild or people outside guilds at all, just the council members. I mean, he had to get in trouble a lot. And it's good to see that this old woman, came up to him and say, you gotta stop being such a delinquent. You gotta stop being so evil, so to speak. And you gotta find a way to get on the right path. You gotta find some friends. Give your life some meaning. And it reminds me so much of delinquents today and teachers or some sort of mentor trying to get these kids off the streets and telling them, if you keep going this way, you're going to get yourself killed. Now, I'm guessing the way she says, "You remind me of my dead son." Not necessarily he looks like him or anything, but the fact that he was a delinquent, he always got in trouble or, went into reckless situations and got himself killed. And she's worried that same thing's gonna happen again with Gajeel, and she wants to make up for the fact that she couldn't protect her own son. And it's sweet, Gajeel at first, of course, like, screw you, old lady, I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want. I'm gonna go kick some fairy tale ass. Well, we know how that turned out. But then when he gets into fairy tale, it's like a delinquent getting into school, getting into clubs, or meeting new friends, and then actually, slowly but surely, getting on the right path. And I like Gajeel crying over the fact that this old lady who's constantly been trying to help him, dies before she gets to actually see how great he's turned out. Now, I'm sure she realized that she heard about him in fairy tale helping people, and even probably in the Grand Magic Games, how he stood by with Natsu and took down the dragons, and she was proud of him. I was hoping we'd get some kind of scene with that, some little panel where we see her. But again, she was probably introduced too late, or she wasn't introduced at all until this chapter. I don't know, but I think it would have been more impactful if we got to know this old lady a lot better, and her relationship to Gajeel. We could have seen a panel of her proud of Gajeel and happy that he's ended up with such good friends and gone down the right path now. But still, it's still a powerful scene to see Gajeel crying over the fact that this old lady that cared for him died, and he couldn't do anything to help her. And for as far as he knows, she never knew that he took her advice and became a good person and started to improve himself. So really, this was a very heart-wrenching scene to watch, and very heart-wrenching chapter at all. I mean, Gajeel, great character development. I mean, we barely got anything, but finally the small character development we got, damn, it's good. And it just ends with, again, like I said, he absorbs the carbon, forming steel, and he just defeats Torafusa, who also reveals a small ability that he's able to alter the density of his skin or his body. I don't know if he can only do that when he's in water, or he can do that anytime he wanted. But apparently, it's what he's good at. He's good at defensive techniques. But again, that doesn't matter because Gajeel's steel. Which brings up, like, what exactly does density mean? I mean, he says he changes the density, but it looks like he changes his skin texture and even properties. Like, it looks like crystal or something. And it's got to be harder than iron. So, I mean, exactly what type of crystal is it, or that can't be broken by iron, but can be broken by steel? Again, it's probably just a random crystal that made up by Hero just to make it harder for Gajeel to punch him with his iron fist, and he has to absorb the carbon to make steel sword and finish him off. But either way, Torafusa's down. Everyone's free, but they still have the poison. They have to fix that. And now I think the next person who's gonna get a mini arc to improve their strength is probably Natsu, because we got that lion guy who has to fight next. So, but then again, I mean, what ability can Natsu obtain that he hasn't already gotten? I mean, he has fire, lightning, dragon force, and I think at one point he also absorbed Sting's light abilities. But we'll see. Maybe he will get a power up. Maybe he won't. Maybe he's already powerful enough. I don't know. I would like to see some sort of mini arc for Natsu as well, so he can improve. And all in all, this was a good chapter. Again, it's mostly Gajeel, and it's damn good Gajeel backstory and damn good development. Heart-wrenching chapter. Loved it. Either way, hopefully I don't miss the next chapter because of the whole release dates and everything. It is just completely crazy. Hero needs to find a way to get back on the ball on that one. Maybe those two spin-off series actually are influencing the release dates, and he's just trying to fight that back, trying to keep to his word that it will not. But, at some point, he's got to get his shit together. I almost missed this chapter, and it was a good chapter, so I would have been really sad. So either way, I'm Tony Dragon. Till next time. Bye-bye.